President-elect Trump says he will remove millions of immigrants living unlawfully in the U.S. through mass deportation once he takes office next month. Today, just about a month before that inauguration, CBS News' immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez went on a ride-along in El Paso, Texas, with a trooper from that state's Department of Public Safety. He joins us now with the details. Camilo, great to see you there from El Paso. Talk to us about what you saw and learned today.
Well, Ed, the situation here at the U.S. Mexico border has changed dramatically since last year when U.S. officials processed a record number of migrants entering the country illegally. November actually saw the lowest level in illegal immigration here, Ed, under the Biden administration, and crossings into the U.S. have remained relatively stable and low compared to the previous 4 years under President Biden, and that can be attributed to two main factors. The first one is that asylum policy enacted by President Biden in June that essentially disqualifies most migrants, Ed, from asylum if they enter the country illegally. The second factor is Mexican enforcement on the other side of this wall behind me. They are stopping many migrants from reaching the U.S. in the first place. Despite this pronounced and acute drop in illegal crossings, some migrants are still trying to make it into the U.S. Just today, during this ride-along with the Texas Department of Public Safety, we saw a group of 20 migrants from across Latin America in the middle of the Rio Grande. They were trying to enter the U.S. illegally, Ed, but the miles of fencing, razor wire, and barriers set up by the state of Texas repelled them from being able to enter the country. And so, from what we know, they were not able to enter the country illegally, Ed.
And you asked the Texas Department of Public Safety trooper about his thoughts on critics who say the actions being taken to stop migrants from crossing the border are inhumane. What did he have to say in response?
Yes, that's an excellent question, Ed, because the razor wire placed here by the state of Texas has repelled some migrants from making the trek across the border and swimming across the Rio Grande. But critics argue that it is inhumane because the migrants could cut themselves. We posed that question to Sergeant Elliot Torres at the Department of Public Safety. Let's take a listen.
It's an optic. Yes, it's razor wire sharp, and there's a reason why it looks this way, so that they can not cross over. But I don't know if you saw the Texas Military Division, when the department, when they were out here, they were actually pointing to them and telling them where to walk. So in a way, it's stopping them from crossing here. And on the other side, the flip side of what we do is, protect and serve. We're telling them where to go. So that's the communication we hope to have with them to get there to a port of entry safely without having to cross over this way.
And Ed, Texas will continue to play a major role here at the U.S. Mexico border under the Trump administration, the incoming administration. Governor Greg Abbott and other Texas officials have promised to work with the incoming administration to help that administration accomplish many of its immigration plans, including that promised mass deportation operation. We know that the Texas Land Commissioner, Ed, has already offered the incoming administration land near the U.S. Mexico border to hold and detain migrants awaiting deportation.
That's interesting. Also interesting to hear that officer say that they may see this nasty-looking fencing, but we're trying to point them towards the legal entry point so that they can be processed and brought in that way, or at least processed into the system and potentially kicked out at some point soon. Camilo, also interesting then that they're offering up that land already and saying if that's what you want to do on day one, here you can have it and start detaining people.
That's right, and the incoming administration will need to set up a lot of detention space to detain the hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants that it is planning to arrest, identify, and deport from the country. Right now, Ed, ICE only has about 41,000 detention beds. That is not nearly enough to detain everyone who the incoming administration wants to target. And as you know, it's not just arresting an undocumented immigrant. You usually have to hold that person for several days, if not weeks, before the host country, the home country, is ready to take them back.
Camilo Montoya-Galvez from El Paso, you always bring us important and interesting reporting. Thank you again for doing that today for us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ed.